here.
We are. We had some lunch. We had some more lunch. I don't know. Playing around. It's great.
Lots of play.
Yes, and I can see, there we are. I'm going to make sure we can see our comments there. And I'm going to make sure I can see everybody up on the Bead Shop YouTube. And we're going to get to, as promised, I'm going to get to all of your questions and comments and things first. I just want to make sure that I can see all y'all on our Facebook. I'm sorry, on our YouTube channel. Let's see. Is it coming up? There we go. Sometimes it takes my computer a minute.
Longer.
There we go. Okay, and I want to make sure that I see everybody's questions. And everybody's here. Okay, fantastic. Everybody's jumping on. Okay. Yes, we're back and live. I'm just going to reach forward to the camera. Hey, everybody, because Ivan's back in the office. I'm going to pull this down. I'm going to see if I can, pull this forward just up. Well, no, maybe I'll do it from the back. I don't know. Maybe I should leave a good enough thing alone, right? And then we can move things around as we do our questions. I don't know. Now we're crooked. What are we going to do? Never mind. That's what happens when we do the after party, right? There we go. Maybe just
That's
a hair.
a lot better.
Yeah. All right. I'm not going to screw with it.
No.
That's like when you're
It could be disastrous.
It could. It could all end in tears. Right. No, we have not, and we have not even opened the wine. It's just me. It's just me doing goofy. Oh, good. At least my roots aren't showing too badly when I was super close to the camera. Good thing. All right. Well, everybody's here. Yay. And our friend Brenda Schwader's here. Hey, Brenda. Look at Drea jumped on. Gita's here. Everyone's here. This is great. Well, you guys, we have... did we break that bottle out? No, we didn't.
Not yet.
I'm just being goofy. Okay, so I have some questions that you guys dropped into the Facebook group that we're going to go with, and then we've got things set up. I'm going to show you how Ellie does that splice extravaganza, and then we've got so much to look at and so much to go over. Let's see. I'm just going to go down all of these questions that we've got here, Allie.
Okay.
The after party will be, this was a question from here, they will be available on our regular feeds as always after the fact. You can watch it on Facebook or here on YouTube. No problemo. So this was a good question from Ellen.
Okay.
And I'm going to give you, I think it's a good one. Ellen and I also would like to know a little bit about your backstory. What got you going with jewelry? We talked a little bit about it in the broadcast beforehand. We've talked about whether or not you sell your jewelry. And are there any future projects that you're thinking about doing that you haven't had the learning for yet?
Yeah, I don't really think there's a whole lot to the backstory.
Mm-hmm.
My mantra is experience the most things that you can in life.
That's the best mantra.
And don't look back and just keep going forward.
Mm-hmm.
And so beading was just sort of a natural progression to, keep on going. And so I just picked it up and started.
Yeah,
and I don't know how long it's going to go. Mm-hmm. It may go 5 years. It may only go.
It may go. This may be it.
I don't know.
We may be done.
No. It's too much fun at this point.
Yeah.
But it may not go on forever.
Yeah.
And I don't have a lot of desire to sell. Mm-hmm. This to me is much more enjoyable.
Yeah, as a
craft
and
the
a hobby.
art, just finding solutions to things.
And that's something you really are, I think. The way you approach this and a little bit what we were talking about was that you really do, you're a total problem solver, I think.
Yes.
When you come up with a, I don't know, problem isn't the right word really, but there's this the kitty cat, what were we calling this? The
silly kitty.
The silly kitty with the dragon scales. We're going to, because I think this is a really great problem solving kind of necklace, so we're going to look at this. I just love this. this piece. I think it's a great way to use one of Green Girl's beads, Cynthia's beads, and it really adds a lot to it.
And the dragon scale. It's sort of what I used to do in my career is I had to provide solutions. I created web applications for large corporate companies, and I had to provide solutions for them when they had something they needed. Figure it out. So it's kind of a natural progression to just find a solution, to whatever we're looking for.
Yeah, well, I think it's great. And so part of that, Ellen was asking also, so your engineering mind kind of came from being such a professional problem solver.
Yeah, writing code, which I did for many, many years. You have to solve problems, and you have to have a lot of math skills, and it's very straightforward. So,
but it also seems like you have to look ahead, not only what's here in front of you as you're writing, but
the end result that you're trying to get to, and you may have to go around the block a few times, and that's what happens.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it's totally apparent in your work. It's great. It was a great question, Ellen. Kim asked, our friend Kim from our bead retreat buddy. So Kim asked, how much pre-planning versus winging it do you do? I have a feeling that I know the answer to this question because I do the same thing.
So much like Kate, it's I don't know what I'm going to do. Throw it out here.
See what sticks.
Pick it up and go. You know, that's really the plan. Is no plan.
Yeah, and I find sometimes the spontaneity in I don't know, letting the beads do the talking. I guess.
They do.
Yeah,
they absolutely do. A lot of them can only be used in certain ways. So you kind of go with it.
And we touched a little bit about it in the main broadcast as well, but how often, like with one of these, especially with the monthly mix wraps we can talk about, how often do you redesign? Did you redesign a lot, or did those just kind of come?
Well, I think in the beginning I did. I'd say the first 6 months of last year, going through all of these, I probably ripped most of them apart.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that takes, I don't know, kind of takes bravery.
Well, it's not so much that for me as if I don't like something, I don't like it.
Right.
I just plain don't like it.
No, sorry.
And I want to be happy with whatever my, surroundings are, or whatever I'm doing. And I do that in my home remodeling. If I paint a wall and I really don't like the color, I'll just go back and repaint it.
Yeah, well,
I absolutely will.
I can relate to that.
So many walls in my house have been
repainted
many times. I mean, I've even gone so far as to do tile jobs. And if I don't like them, I rip them out and redo them.
Come over to my house.
Yeah,
I have a tile job that has your name all over it.
That is my game. As if I don't like something the way it's going, I just take it out, and I'm so much happier.
Well, and that kind of dovetails on Ginger. Had a great question too, and this is something that I actually struggle with as well. Ginger says she loves everything you've shown, and she's actually, quite frankly, a little jealous of your talent, right? No, right? No. But what her ego, and this is a really interesting way that you put it, Ginger. What her ego wants to know is what part of the jewelry making does she struggle with and or avoid? Do you force yourself through it and just muddle through, or do you have a method of overcoming the negative Nancy in your head?
I try not to have any negativity at all.
Right. Because they're only beads, right?
I don't take it that seriously. I don't take none of this seriously. It's all for pleasure, and if it becomes a problem, then then you're moving on to mosaic. I'm walking on, and I'm going to go paint a wall because I just don't think you should have room for negativity at all. So I don't really stumble over.
Yeah, that's great. I feel the same way. A lot of times in classes, and when you see me on the live feeds and stuff, what I do, I make it look easy because that's my job, right?
Exactly.
But it's accumulation of like 30 years of doing this. So I always tell my students, just, just practice makes perfect, and no one sees your harshest critic is you, I think.
Absolutely.
Right?
Constant.
That's right. Ginger just commented, she says, that Nancy chick just talks too much in my head. I know, Ginger. I know, isn't it true? And Laurel, don't worry, we haven't covered splicing yet. We're going to do that here. So we're just doing a little bit of chit chat. Yeah, you haven't missed anything. Here comes Karen. I'm not sure what Karen's doing. But she's, for splicing pictures. Okay.
Smart
there.
girl.
Smarty pants
girl.
for the episode notes, right, Karen?
Drea would kill me.
Oh, that's right. So, Drea, Karen's here. She's going to take some splicing photos, so that's great. Thank you, KK. Let me see. This is just a comment from Mary Ellen.
Okay.
And I think what we can do, I don't know if we can grab the color. I'm just going to grab this right off the wall, if I can. Mary Ellen's question was about color, and I'm actually going to move the camera. So, Karen, while you're here, I might as well do it now so we can see kind of what's here. I'm going to move the camera down so we can see this. No, so just unhook it there from the bottom. Perfect.
Oh, this part?
No, just that little.
The top.
Oh, yeah, do that, and then I'll bring this around. And we'll change everybody's view up for a few here. So Mary Ellen's question was, oh look, it's good. Completely meta. Let's see. Let's get this there. I'll get all these feeds out of here so you're not looking at all the screens here. There we go. And this one, I'll get this out of the way here too. Okay. So Marilyn asked about color. The book that when I popped in and did the little quick Facebook Live from the airport on my way to Tucson, I talked about the book, The Secret Lives of Color. And color, I think, is such an important starting point for me, and I can see also, I'm going to put that right down there, for you as well. We did this, I don't know, it was last year sometime when I was going to the farmer's market.
Springtime.
Right, springtime.
Sure, it must have been.
And I took a series of photos that I then went and posted in our Facebook group from the farmer's market. And some of you remember this guy. This is I think this is the original Swiss chard. Right? Farmer's market wrap, right? I'll get that a little closer. We'll lay it out in a little bit. But so you gravitated towards this photo, right? And so do you use photos and stuff a lot?
I do.
For your
like
piece?
to. I think a photo shows me that, colors don't always have to go together the way you think they do.
Right.
Because you take something like this, and obviously no one planned to have that all be color coordinated.
Right.
And it works.
There we go. Yeah, nature is always...
It totally works.
Always works,
and
right?
even the person that laid it out,
Right, it's just...
Yeah.
And it was fun, it was fun kind of walking around, and I love the farmer's market anyway, but taking those pictures and stuff. And what I love that you did was you kind of did that undulating kind of design here, but then you echoed it, that leaf pattern kind of at the very end. And that's the buttonhole, which I just I love how that just comes right in. But I just think that's great. It's a great way to deal with the button.
And this was a whole learning experience for me, and trying to, echo the patterns in the photo. The leaf patterns, the petal patterns, and also the roots, and the air roots and the tendrils.
Yeah,
just in there.
Right. I think it just looks great. And Drea, I can see your comments, so we're all good to go. We're all good. Spidey Stamps asked, do you have a huge stash of beads? She always doesn't get color right, reality versus computer colors, so sometimes she makes a mess.
It's growing.
Right.
It wasn't always. In fact, when I did this, I had only been new to Beach Hop. And so some of these are just not, they're not all from Beach Hop. So now all my pieces are.
Well, bless you. But,
but it's grown, it's grown over time.
Yeah.
So, the stash is growing. It's getting much larger.
And, I think about when I buy beads, and, beads I think are, you know, like anything else, when you buy fabric or yarn or things like that, you know, I want to have a stash that's usable, but I don't want to have a stash that's daunting.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So you kind of have to sometimes walk the line.
Well, I don't think you'll ever
between.
get to the bottom of your beads if
Right.
you have too many.
Right? Isn't that funny? Yeah, it's funny. So we have, let me see, we're going to show some finishing. Okay, so Karen, why don't we go ahead and do the finishing so you can take those photos. I'm going to, let's look and we'll get that pretty. That pretty. And so one of the things that we talked about in the broadcast earlier, Allie, you want to talk a little bit about the you call it splicing, really,
I call
right?
it splicing. That may not be the proper terminology for
And just
it.
so you can see in the screen, that's what we're aiming for right there, just an FYI. You've got plenty of space.
Do I have room here to do right
you do.
here?
See,
Okay,
there's
got it.
it's
Gotcha.
right there. Yeah,
Okay.
perfect.
So all into me.
Yeah.
Okay, so the splice for this loop is actually right here underneath this ruffle. Is that? I think that's a ruffle.
Ruffles, yeah.
Yeah, it's actually right under there. So we have it set up here as
On the board, right.
on the board. That if you were coming down and you had all your
This was all beaded.
right? We can go ahead.
And the splice means, let's get real, I want to show you guys here, see how, in case you had missed it earlier, see how on this loop right here that Allie's talking about, usually when we're closing off a wrap, you've spliced all of yours so nicely that I don't have a sample, but a lot of times when we're doing that, we have a button, you know, that has the little, this guy.
This one has tails.
Right, right, it has the tails. So what Allie did was, on this, right, you either tie knots or however you do it, and then you have some tails here, and that's what hangs for the closure. But this spliced end, you can see there are no tails, so it's a really clean finish. And I would think that that would be a place where you start, but you actually traditionally start with the button, and then you do this process that you call splicing.
Right, because you don't want your tails at the other end.
Right, at the other end either,
so
right.
somewhere you'd have, tails.
Right.
So
this is like the tailless splicing method.
Right.
So, so Allie set up this board, and this section right here that has the macrame is actually what's living underneath that ruffles. Right there.
Right at the edge of it.
So what should I do?
So your next step would be to,
just clear,
release,
take that off.
and obviously your leather ends are not even.
Right.
They cannot be even. You have to have one in order to wrap it around. So you take a T-pin, and you have to know your measurement.
Right, so I would measure, and thinking that the end of my bracelet, my button is going to sit right there at the end of my loop. So we put a T-pin there.
You put a T-pin.
Right, okay.
And so then take your longer end.
Okay, that's this one.
And, you're going to wrap it back up here. So here's where you're going to cut a little bit off of here.
Off of this one this guy.
Exactly.
Okay, so I'll come in.
And you do a flush.
Where's my...
You need a flush.
My snips should actually work okay, I think, because I want a nice straight across cut, right?
Yes, straight
is what
across.
we're looking. So I'm going to take this, I could use my flush cutter or my thread snips, and I'm going to cut away, leaving, I don't know, maybe about 1/8 of an inch, maybe,
just
right?
a small bit.
Okay.
Yeah, as little as you can really works the best. And then this is the end of your loop, and you have your pin, so you can kind of tug on it. And then you're going to get your zap glue,
and I'm going to add some glue
you're
there.
going to add a little glue, but at the same time, you kind of have to figure out where you're going to cut it to.
Okay. So do I want to cut this and then add the glue?
A lot of times I do. I used to, what I used to do in the beginning, and for some they may find this helpful, is I would just glue these together and let them dry.
Okay.
And then I would cut off this
Okay.
excess. So
Okay.
maybe that will help.
Okay.
I got to where I could do it the other way, but...
Right. I'm going to actually, I'm not going to worry about a baggie. I'm just going to get a little, I didn't, but you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get a little piece of paper. No, don't worry. There we go. Okay. Okay, there we go. And so I'm going to get my zap. Here we go. And I'm going to add,
And I'll hold it for you, but I mean, it's one of these you gotta use 4 hands.
right, I just want to make sure that everybody on, there we go, YouTube. Okay, just going to make sure. Great. And thank you. Dria's on, and she is, I'll grab this
Yeah,
and put
let
this,
you do it.
and she's doing some linking as well. So thanks, Dria, for doing all that. I'm going to add my zap just right there.
So you can glue them together.
Right, and then a little bit of, and then I'm just gonna put that lid on.
And just hold it up there for a second.
Hold it up there so it
gets
bonds.
nice and lined up.
Right. There we go. And I want it, I kind of want it to have tension.
Yes.
Right, a little bit. Whoops.
Some firm tension.
There we go.
And this takes practice. It's not perfect the first time.
There we go. I'm gonna get rid of that. That little bit of extra glue. And is there a spare T-pin? Yeah,
Yes,
here it is.
definitely.
I'm just gonna use that T-pin as a little third hand.
And you can hold it with the pins.
Yeah, to help me kind of have it
up.
stay.
Yep.
Come on.
T-pins.
Come on, hands. There we go. Yeah. I don't want to block you guys from seeing, but there we go. Okay.
And then you have to wait a few seconds for it to.
And T-pins you can find at any, I get them at the fabric store.
Yes.
Where do you get yours? The fabric store?
I got the last batch on Amazon.
Oh,
of
did
course,
you? Yeah, you ordered some?
But
Yeah.
fabric stores do carry them.
Yeah, should have them. And then we'll just let it, the cool thing about Zap is the Zap grabs
on. And so once you feel like you can flip
okay. I think I can.
flush to the other one, that's really all you need to do.
I'm going to pull this back just a little.
And normally I let it set up much longer, but we can't today.
Through the magic of television. There we go. There's my flush cut.
Yeah.
And I can see my little end there. What we're trying not to do is have bulk. Is that right?
Exactly. No bulk.
No bulk. So see that? I mean, it's stuck. It's stuck.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going anywhere.
It won't go
anywhere. And let me get in really tight, you guys, so you can see that that connection. So you can see that's where I cut it. The other side is it's just right there. There's hardly any overlap. I'm going to get rid of that thing. Now what do I do while I'm worrying?
Well, you can, now that this can be either way. If you use a big enough transition, you can slip it on after the fact.
Okay.
If it's a smaller one, you'd want to get it on there before you did your final glue.
Okay, so I'd have my transition maybe up here.
Yeah.
Or here, and then I'd slide it up.
thread it on before, with the two.
Because this is bulky.
Yes.
Okay.
But on that transition, you should be able to slip it right through.
So I'll slip this on.
Yeah.
And can you see how, you guys, that's going? Let me make this a little bit bigger. There we go. And
so just wait a minute though before you stick it up, because you're going to want to macrame.
Oh, okay, a little bit more. Okay.
Over the actual splice.
Oh,
I mean, it's
gotcha.
really secure because you're macrameing
over
and glued.
See, look at that. So let me do a few little macrames. Let me get kind of tight in here. I know, you guys, it's a little hard to see with that. I'm going to cut another little piece of white paper.
It's hard on the board.
So you can see under the board. There we go. I think you guys can really see that.
Yeah.
So I'm going to macrame it like I mean it right here. Right. And we have a bunch of macrame skill builders on beadshop.com. So I'm not going to explain the macrame, but you could also maybe silk wrap this
anything to just put a layer of something over it.
Over the top. And I am using micro seal-on, I think.
Yes.
And I want it to be nice and as even as I can. Again, will this be covered with the bead?
Yes.
Okay, so I want it to be neat, but I'm not freaking out about it.
Yeah, you want the bead right over the splice.
So here's where I'm just kind of ignoring the splice, right? I'm just kind of going for it and not really fussing with it too
and it's kind of gluing itself all together.
Yeah, as I tighten, you can see there it goes. I'm coming in.
So once you get enough to where you can push up the transition.
The transition.
You
okay.
can thread the threads back through.
Back through it.
Mhm.
Okay. Let me do 2 more just
Yeah.
for fun.
It doesn't hurt.
Right. But this trick with the T-pin, I love it. There we go. Because it really does hold everything
It holds it just right.
nice and even. Okay, so here's this. Now I'm going to come in and I'm going to put my transition in, right?
Right where you need it. And then
Or my evolve is what I'm doing.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, it's evolve.
And should I
And
thread my threads
thread 'em
first?
back through.
Okay.
Yes.
So I'll thread it there, and then
Mm-hmm.
I'll thread this one here.
And that's what you use to continue your macrame.
Our macrame. So I'll go ahead and
And you just push it up.
I'm going to push this sucker up. Come on now. So there's a question that came in while I'm doing this. Michelle asks, do you work on your bracelets all at one sitting, or do you...
Oh, no.
you
I never have that much time.
Yeah.
Never.
So you kind of knock them out in sections as you go.
Yeah, I try to do a section maybe, in a morning or, and then put it back down.
Yeah.
Pick it up later.
I'm going to
Angle it. Right.
tighten that up just a little bit more. There we go.
And then you cover
And
it
so
over.
now I'm just ready to continue my macrame, right?
Yeah, and then whatever beads you want to add beyond.
I'll just start laddering, right. So here's this. So I'll give myself, I don't know, a few macrames.
Yeah.
Depending on if I want anything to show.
I mean, you don't even have to add beads if you wanted
Underneath.
to just do a macrame or
Right, whatever.
herringbone or something.
Right. There we go. And then what I would do when you pick your piece back up, I'm going to open this up just a little bit. And I think we do some beads. I've got some beads sitting here. I'll just show you how to ladder. You guys know, but I'll
Just
start.
a couple in there.
And so there was a question, why do you prefer, I guess you could angle cut it if you
You
kind of shave some off this way and shave some off that way.
You absolutely could. I just found it easier to do the flush cut because I'm trying to hold everything. And the angles.
So, and then we just start to
Just
our traditional ladder, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then sending the threads under the macrame, what we can do, I need a needle, which I may or may not have over there. If I do, so there's that.
You just have to describe it.
Yeah. We have that on a few of our lives.
I think I probably need to do a photo shoot of that.
Yeah, we need to
too.
do a little
The
skill
steps.
builder.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. So here's this, and there's that right there, right?
Just
And then
add
you
as
just
many as
keep
you want.
adding. Mm-hmm. We get this T-pin over here, and this T-pin over here. Open that up just a little bit. There we go. And then you could just do your single, or we could just continue with that one. There we go. Do we have any heavier? We didn't bring any heavier cord, but I could maybe macrame with that. That one's heavier, right? I can grab a needle.
Oh, but these are. I don't think we want to use those are full.
Okay. Let me see. Let me go underneath here so you guys can see. Here we have the laddering. My hands are not. There we go. So see, there we go. There, and so you just continue to go on until you're done.
This one.
And you can see this one here. This is a good question that you can answer while I see if I have any needles over there. Do you ever crimp the sliders or the evolves, or
No.
do you just let them rest?
I just let them rest. I usually have, there's a lot of thread or whatever underneath, or, no, they just stay.
They just stay where you put
Yeah,
them.
you can add glue. You could actually add glue to make sure they stay put.
I'm going to tilt this forward a little bit, you guys. Don't be alarmed by moving the camera at this after party.
Yeah.
Don't you worry. I'm going to do that. And then let me see if I have some needles. If we do, I'll do that quick, what we like to call the fishtail. the fishtail braid. My box of stuff is still kind of, here's one, I've got one. Okay, I've got this, and I can take off a piece of this one. Do you need any other photos there, KK?
Is that it for the splicing?
I think that's it.
Okay.
I think that's all. Drea is very happy that you have done that for her.
Squeak on out.
And so these photos, you guys, will be in the episode notes for this. I'm going to tilt the camera again. Don't be alarmed, everybody. They'll be in the episode notes for our show earlier today. Okay, so let me show you. I know it's. Let me get in here real tight. We'll do this real quick and show you guys. So I'm going to just pretend. We're going to pretend that
It's a big loop.
yeah, it's a big
big
loop.
button.
Okay, and we're going to just. I'm just going to macrame right over here. So just kind of ignore what's going on over there. Okay. So I come in. Is this real tight? Sorry, I'm doing this with my right hand. Let me do it with my left. Get in real tight there. And Allie, you can tell me if this is the way that you do it, but this is how I do it. I'm just going to start, and I'll make my little macrame, and you can see I'm doing this with the larger
Absolutely.
seal on here, so it's a little bit easier for you guys to see, and we'll just go back and forth. And I'm just going to do a few, whoops, tighten up there. Come on, there we go. I don't want my thread to be unruly here. There we go. And I'm just going to do a couple so I get it established. Then I lay the needle in. Do you do it with a needle, or do you
Yes.
do it with thread?
Always with a needle.
A needle, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Emily says sometimes she lays a piece of thread
You know, I tried it,
in
but
there,
I got
and
it
I'm
caught.
like, yeah, I'm like, I can't do that.
I got it caught because this
Yeah.
seemed to be easier to just,
Yeah.
it stayed put.
And see, there's that right
Yeah,
there.
and
So you can see that. So now I'll just lay this on.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes what I'll do is I'll use a clamp or something there to kind of clamp it on.
Here, let me adjust this
Okay.
because I see you're struggling.
Okay,
so
I
I
am.
don't want you to struggle.
Thank you.
No struggle.
Thank you for adjusting.
So what is easier
Oh,
to do is just angle.
Is that way? Angle it. Look at that. Look.
There.
Just angle the T-pin. Do you guys see that?
Then there's
just-
no struggle.
Angle the T-pin.
And then you can
That's-
actually just lay the needle.
Yeah, that's just, you're crazy. That's the...
no,
look
because
at-
I've been there.
No, that, I'm like, oh, it's a whole new day. Oh my goodness. All right, that's the best. I love learning something new.
No struggle.
So we'll just continue our macrame, and I don't know, maybe I'll do 5 or 6 knots. The first one, you kind of struggle a little bit
Yeah,
because
and
you
then
want
you
to
can
get
adjust the needle.
the needle underneath. There we go. But I want to capture it first. Do you put a spool or anything underneath
I
to raise?
don't.
You don't.
It's probably a good idea. Sometimes I'm just too lazy to do it,
Yeah.
so I just
I
kinda
don't
use
really
my
either.
finger
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
kind of lift it up a little
Yeah.
more. Even the thread, if it's stiff enough, it'll go right underneath.
right underneath. Yeah. No, I feel that it also kind of keeps the tension. So you can see there how I've captured this needle. I'm gonna go a few more. And then, do you add any glue when you do this, or do you just say,
No, I
"Hey"?
have not.
Yeah,
and,
I don't
mean,
either,
you see
really.
these things, they just get thrown around.
Yeah.
And it just stays.
Yeah. And especially if you have enough.
Mm-hmm. If it's a good, a long,
good amount,
yeah,
yeah.
good amount of thread there, you're fine.
That macrame over. Come on now. There we go. And let me do. It's hard to remember even which side I'm supposed to be on. Oh,
And you don't want to macrame too tight,
right.
or you won't be able to pull
To
it.
pull the needle, exactly.
It's got to be enough tension.
So it's nice and firm, but not so tight that you can't. So here's my little, let's just say, and if this were real life, I might go up to about here.
Yeah,
Probably.
Do a little
Yeah,
bit
a
more.
little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Let me actually, I'm going to do one more. There we go. And so now I'm going to thread my tails through this needle. There goes one. collapsible, these flexible eyes or collapsible eyes like to grab that thread.
They do. They catch it.
Yeah.
The trick here is to not have really super long tails.
Right.
Because you want to get it through quick.
Right. Exactly. So I'm going to pull this down. About like so, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Now, see how I have the needle over here?
And hold the leather.
I'm going to just gently pull. I'm going to put my finger over that to kind of, I always do it just a little tight. Can you see how it's here? And Alice is saying, my needle is often really hard to pull through to finish the macrame. Are you macrameing too tight? The answer to that is yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And sometimes you can use your
pliers to pull it
too,
through.
to pull through, but hold it way down where the eye of the needle is when you pull.
Right,
through.
so that you don't break
it.
it. Yeah. So see how it's pulled underneath? Let me get really tight there so you guys can see. Maybe. Oh. Someone's is it one of you? One of you are calling Allie Maury?
It's spam.
Right. So see that there? And then I'm just going to come in, and if you have a thread burner, you can thread burn it.
Mm-hmm.
We're thinking about bringing thread burners back. Do you use them?
I do. I have the Max.
Yeah, we're thinking about.
And I love it.
Yeah,
it's very
the fancy one.
It's the fancy one.
Yeah, that's what
more
I think.
expensive, but worth it.
But worth it. That's the reason we don't carry them any longer. We carried the really fancy one, and then we carried the not so fancy one, and the not so fancy one doesn't really.
They don't last.
They don't last. So we're thinking about bringing them back because I have one too. I love them.
Yeah.
Just the issue was that people were they were breaking all the time, and so as
I've never had
business,
an issue with mine.
I haven't
whatsoever.
had no. So if we bring them back, you guys, they're going to be spendy, but they'll be
Yes.
worth it.
But they're worth
They'll
it.
be
You don't
worth
have
it.
to buy 3 of them.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. So see, here we go, and that's it. That's all you do. But what I would do is, again, I would macrame up a little bit higher, so you're pulling your thread like a silk wrap a little further down into the knots. So
It's pretty simple.
that's that. I want to show a few of your other pieces, Allie, that you brought, because I think you guys are going to really love some of these, and I know that you've seen some of them on the bead table. But I just can't wait to get my hands on this one. This one is such, well, you know, A, how I feel about shadows. B, I just love the weight of this one. So I did a Facebook Live a while back on my favorite, the wrap I always wear, though it's in Karen's booth. Right now it's not on my wrist because Karen's taking a photo of it. But so a lot of you have made them, but Allie, you took it to kind of another level.
I made 3 of them.
You made 3 of them. So talk about how is that connected?
Okay,
I'm going to get a little tight there if I can. There we go. I love it. So you used one of our new large buttons.
So this is the big, new, gorgeous blue.
And that button size,
and it's almost an inch, I think.
Yeah, let me, my friend, the millimeter gauge. It's a big button. So yeah, it's almost 27 millimeters.
Okay,
so it's almost an inch.
Yeah,
a little bit over.
So yeah, if you want a statement piece, that's it. So to get all of the leather through, you really cannot get it through the shaft or the shank. So you just put 1 through, and you make a lark's head knot. And then before you cinch up that lark's head, add
the leather underneath.
Add 2 more pieces of leather, 1 on each side of the lark's head, and then cinch it. So then they're all together.
All together. That's
so you end up
smart.
with 6 strands.
Right. And then
I did a double wrap. You don't want to go any more than that on this because it's too
so bulky.
heavy. Yeah, it's too heavy.
And did you ladder all of these individually and then braid them?
Individually, they're all done, and then you just braid the pieces together.
And the closure, I just loved the closure.
And again, you know, you've got to come all down here, and you got to cut the leather, and then it just ends up being macrame.
And did you glue it kind of like we did?
You know, it's kind of
with the
like
splice?
the splice thing, yeah.
and then it just came up, macrame comes back down.
And hide it.
Yep, and knot it through.
And
It's
then you
gorgeous.
can just leave your fringe,
The
or
tassels.
you don't need the tassels if you want to conceal it.
Yeah, cut it. But look at how I'm gonna have to put this on
Yeah,
because it
that
is.
was really fun.
Oh, look at how it just fits me perfectly.
7 inches, perfect for everything.
Perfect. Look at that. Yeah, because my wrist is about 6.5 or so, maybe even a little. But when it's bulky,
they're bulky.
you need a little more room.
Mm-hmm.
Look at that. Look at how great that is. It just, and it feels so
Feels
good.
good.
On. Yeah, I
really
love
great.
this braided piece. It's really great. Now now those pieces. You were talking with another bead table member about these guys here,
Yes.
and I know a lot of people say, "Oh my gosh, these wraps! You've used so many beads. This is so many things. It's so expensive." Let me though back up just real quick. This size leather was 1 millimeter.
I believe
For the
so.
braid?
Yeah,
I think it is
I think you
for the
have
braid.
to because it's
So it wasn't be too bulky.
Yeah,
Okay.
so it won't be so bulky.
And so this is kind of your answer to being not just maybe a little more economical if you're starting out.
If you're just learning,
Yeah, and you wanna. I'm
And you
gonna
wanna
push
do,
these
like,
up a little bit here.
a bunch of wraps,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And it's also, the other concept with this was one design, 3 different looks.
Mm-hmm.
So they're all designed exactly the same way,
Mm-hmm.
but each one of them looks very different.
And you've used the same. This is also. Is this 1.5 millimeter?
I think these
I think these are.
Yes.
I think they
yes,
are.
they are. They're
And
1.5.
this is simply one tube, right?
Mhm.
One tube of
the pearl.
of the Baroque pearl,
Mhm.
one tube of the Ghana glass mix, and this is like one tube or one bag of our. I think there are 6 odd or 8. It's the age check.
It's an age check. It's a
Mhm.
larger one. It's bigger than 6.
Yeah, you could use the one
Maybe
shot.
4.
4 odd.
Yeah,
Mhm.
something like that.
Yeah, and so just one. And what you did was you used regular Ceylon.
Mm-hmm.
Started again. This is a vintage find.
Those are my favorite.
Right, I love these so
I
much.
love those.
And you just macrame, and then that macrame cord is used as the to ladder. And I feel like these, I was calling them earlier, little windows. It really shows off the bead really nicely.
Just take it. One tube of pearls does not get you as much as the others, but you can see you can get 3 wraps and
3
then
wraps
you can
from
get
this.
4.
Yeah. And if you just use a say something statement button.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is the end, that same kind of go back
deal.
through.
And
you
I don't
can
even
see-
know where they are. They're in
Yeah, the
one of
splice.
these. Yeah, they're somewhere
Yeah.
in here.
It's really nice. And right, so that's a 3 wrap. Let me bring this one around. But it's a good way, or if you're like beading, with like, I don't know, kids
Yes.
or, where you don't want to throw the kitchen sink at the project.
Or fundraisers.
Yeah.
You just, one tube is all you need.
Is all you need. And you can keep them the price right,
Mm-hmm.
but you still have, or the supply price is right too, but you still have 3. It's the same process, but 3 completely different beads.
And quick.
Really beautiful and
Those
quick.
go real
Yeah,
fast.
they're really really nice.
Yeah.
Let's get the kitty off of the neck there. This was a challenge that you gave yourself, which I love that you did. Allie and I were talking about this earlier about dragon scales, and I need to confess something to you guys, right? I find dragon scales to be a challenge to work with. I do. I
We
don't
both
know.
do.
I don't know. And so it just, I don't know. It's a challenge sometimes. So, when I was working with them and stuff, trying to create some new designs, but what I love what you did here, Allie, is you just made them into a tassel.
Mm-hmm.
And how did you do this? What is going on
I
there?
took a length of chain, and I think it's
Okay.
the
It's the circle back
it's
chain.
Right, it's really
Mhm.
simple. This really
Mhm.
really simple chain.
Mm-hmm.
And then I took little. The only thing, and I think this one I had to make my own, but you now carry jump rings
The small ones, just for that reason.
because dragon scale holes are very small,
Mm-hmm.
and so you need a little. it has to be 22 gauge.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think 21s do not fit 21 gauge.
Mm-hmm.
So it's got to be 22 gauge. Jump ring. And then just started adding the dragon scales. Do the jump ring.
Yeah.
And then adding
so,
the jump rings.
So the chain is underneath, and then
Mhm.
each of these dragon scales, you can see that one has two, but each of these have the individual
Just
ones.
trying to fill them in
Mhm.
and wherever you can. And,
Yeah.
you know.
It's a really good use. I think it's circle back. Let me just make
It's
sure.
the smaller one. There's two that are kind of similar.
Yeah.
But one's bigger and one's smaller.
I think it's that one. No, maybe it's
Is it the other? It's like a 4 millimeter, I believe.
Endless Love. I don't know which one it is. Let me
The
see.
smallest.
No, it is the circle back.
Okay.
That's what it is.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. That's what it is.
Yeah.
And so I just love it. And then you connected it. How is this connected?
It's just onto like a wire wrapped, through.
Oh, through and just
Mhm.
through the kitty cat.
Mm.
Yeah, it's really great. And then this was just used as the.
I just slipped it on like a bead.
Right.
The whole thing like
The
a
whole
bead.
thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's really great. I really love this piece. It's
It's just kind of funny.
yeah, the Aqua Kitty from Green Girl. And sometimes using these I don't know, figural. I love Cynthia's pieces.
Oh, me too. I'm a total
just
addict.
love them. But sometimes they can be a challenge for me because they are so
Well, they're different.
yeah, they're different and they really make a statement on their own. So it's
Mhm.
like, how do I use this without overwhelming?
Right.
So
So use simple beads
I love it.
and just make it the focal.
You make it the focal.
Mhm.
So would you grab that crazy color study that's over there?
Okay. Now
Speaking of Cynthia's stuff, let's get this a little bit bigger. Which piece that's a
This
color
is-
study?
this
Isn't it?
is. Yes, it is, and
Ish.
I didn't bring the poster for it, but this was I call it the mother of all wraps because it wraps around 13 times.
Let's 13. Yes. Look at that. That's also a
It's
little
got
Cynthia
all
fun.
kinds of different
Yeah.
techniques.
So we started at the button.
Yeah,
Let's start there.
at the button.
And you've just laddered and Matubo,
Mhm.
Matubo.
Just
different.
the tilas.
I love the way the tilas ladder.
And with the tilas, I find that the 1 millimeter really allows
Yeah.
them to drape well.
Yeah.
So then they don't pop out like
Yeah.
everybody complains that they do. Because I've had that problem
Mhm.
too. But the 1 millimeter really makes them
Yeah,
nice.
makes it nice. And this
Yeah.
is the 1 millimeter, maybe seafoam, I think.
I think
maybe.
it is. Yeah,
it's
looks
gorgeous.
like it.
So we continue to wrap.
And then I just did some,
I like
and I used the same technique that I did in
Mhm.
the other,
with the
the
Matubos.
little, with Matubos.
The herringbone is something that I don't do enough of, I think.
Yeah, this was my first
Yeah.
herringbone. I had never used it before.
I feel like I think it gives a lot of visual bang
Mm-hmm.
and it goes fast.
Yeah.
It's fast and
Yeah.
you're like, oh, I don't have beads left. What do I do? Oh, I do herringbone, So then we've got super duos.
The crazy super
Oh
duos.
my gosh.
And this was my first time with those, so I just did the straight stuff. I
Right.
didn't do the angle.
Right.
Um,
And so it's the 1-2, 1-2 herringbone. And it looks really nice. And these
and it
green
has a
ones
great
are
drape.
just kind of interspersed,
Mm-hmm.
kind of intermittently.
Right, just
Yep.
it for the color.
Yep.
And then we have the old, just macrame.
Yeah, macrame with some beads on
the,
top.
The bridge across the top.
And again, in the 3 colors.
Colors.
And so when you did the macrame here, you just started and stopped, pulled that macrame back through like we did with the needle?
No, and that's
Or
I
did
think I
you
leave
go
the
underneath,
tails.
leave
I
the
left
tails?
the
Okay.
Mhm.
And then maybe glue it a little bit and start your
And,
macrame over the top
This
and
was
continue.
kind of the first foray
Okay.
into it, so I did it
Okay.
that way. And then just the traditional.
Yes, with the 5 millimeter rondelles.
Mhm.
Beautiful.
Just going through.
Yeah. And you use the same color, no, you use different color threads even too.
Oh,
Can you
yeah.
guys see that?
I'm real big
Here.
on changing the thread.
Yeah. So look, that's a pink thread, that's a yellow thread. Here is the seafoam Celadon colored thread. Yeah. at that, you guys. The poetry sample, I love our poetry, and you did that with the little ring. It's great.
Mm-hmm.
And finally,
the wampums.
Yeah, the wampums
on leather.
And look at the wampum, you guys. How interrupted. Are we still going? Let me just make sure that we're connected. Hang on.
Yeah, that happens sometimes.
Let me make sure that
because it doesn't look like it's changing, right?
Connecting. Let me see. Hold that thought, everybody. I think you can still see us on YouTube, but I don't know if you can see us on Facebook. Yep. So YouTube, you keep hanging on, and let me see if I can reconnect Facebook here. Bear with me here just a moment. I'm going to end, let me see. I'm just going to reboot here the Facebook feed. Or those of you can go over, let's see. It still says we're live. Let me go over there and see if I can, let's see. Bear with me here just a second.
No, still not.
Here, let me do this, the live, and we are still live with and Ellie. Let's see if it'll connect.
Come again.
Let's see. Let me see here. Go live at the bottom right. Bear with me, you guys, and you guys on YouTube. I'm gonna go ahead and end this and come on back.